I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Well, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Said I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Bad times are coming and I reap what I done sowed. Hey, hey. Well, let me tell you something, all that glitters ain't gold. It's been a long old troublesome road, and I'm looking for somebody come and help me carry this load. I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey. Well, I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Well, I don't know.
KBLA Talk 1580, or a few trillion, Aloe Black. It's time for Freedmen Friday. We do this every week, keeping the momentum going, the information going, being part of the solution around reparations. It is real, regardless of what folks want to say, and that's why we are here. We are being joined this morning by the president of an organization called Black Lawyers for Justice, the conductor of the Afrodescendant Nation, Attorney Malik Shabazz. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on this morning.
Yeah, thanks for tapping in with us. I found that a lot of folks, our people, I'm talking about black people right now, others too, but I'm concerned about us, don't have the information about what's going on, the actual progress, the conferences, meetings, commissions, task forces, legislation that are going on all over the country, working to move reparations forward. Do you find that to be true? That's why we launched this thing, to let people know what's going on.
I find it to be true that the masses of our people who support reparations and say that we deserve it, but they, I'm sure, as you said, do not know the efforts in specific of what is being done to achieve this cause. But we also must take into context that we are in an election year, and so the election is dominating all of the news and all of the media and all of the minds of the people. And unless reparations is on the elections agenda, which both parties will fight hard to make sure that they don't have to address it because they consider it to be a liability, then reparations is going to be overshadowed at this point, at least in the media, by the election. And it's the burden of proof on black people and organizers who are fighting for reparations to fight so hard that it cannot be ignored in the election. The only campaign that have outright supported reparations is the candidacy that I support. That's the candidacy of Dr. Cornel West and Vice President Melina Abdullah from this station in my hometown, Los Angeles.
It is true. Everything gets overshadowed by the election. And that's another reason why I like to put things on the calendar. Every Friday, second hour, we're talking reparations, rain, shine, tornadoes, elections. However, I think what you said is spot on. Most politicians see reparations as some kind of kryptonite that will permanently damage their future prospects. And to some degree, that's true. I feel like if, Vice President Harris were to say, I'm for reparations, or I'm going to do an executive order similar to an H.R. 40, probably would tank her prospects. I don't think it would tank Trump's prospects, but I haven't seen him making any kind of indication that he would be interested in doing anything like that. I don't know why Biden could not do it on the way out the door, though. Like, hey, here's executive order on H.R. 40. What are your thoughts on all of those 3 points that I just made?
Well, it would have to, well, executive orders, number one, can be overturned by the next administration.
True.
So, he would have to do, if he were going to pull a move like that, he would probably do it after the election and before he leaves office.
Oh, you're right, because it could damage.
Kamala Harris,
right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's legitimate what he would do, but I don't see him in any circumstances making reparations even an election issue at all. Both Democratic and Republican parties they won't even make police brutality a national agenda item. If you carefully notice, of all the debates and issues and policies that on the Democratic national agenda, it is not the George Floyd Act of legislation or
the Breathe Act or unqualified immunity or any. Yeah, you're right. We haven't heard much about it.
And it is not a talking point. And
although the Biden administration they did reach out to Sonia Massey's family, which we haven't seen that in a couple of years. But I understand what you're saying. It's not a platform.
They reached out
point.
to the family.
Yeah.
Well, political dynamics are going to shape these things, though. The reason why you have a George Floyd Act and why you have heightened concern around police brutality is because the streets were lit in 2000 and all across this country in all states, and to be honest, from all sections of organizations and races, this country was lit, and that caused action to take place. And so, power concedes nothing without a demand. So I don't want anybody who's listening to lose hope. I just want to let you know that for all issues, police brutality, reparations, we have a fight on our hands, and we can't depend on just to say whoever gets in the White House, that would dominate our attention from these core issues, because whichever party wins the White House, still after that, you're going to need reparations. You're going to look around and say, well, this is only some reform that I'm being offered, and reparations is my true solution, because the situation of gentrification and inequality in wealth and the gaps in resources in my neighborhood, it's still the same, regardless to who's in the White House.
Which leads us back to our main topic, but it seems like one of the places we end up stuck or arguing is about, what party should we be supporting if reparations is the priority. And there are many in the reparations movement, various factions, whether it be FBA, ADOS, or just regular people that aren't affiliated with any organization or group that support reparations, that do support the Republican Party. And I'm not clear on what it is that gives them hope that the Republican Party would support reparations, because if you break it down to parties, look at what's happening in California, where, by the way, we have till the end of the month to get the Assembly to pass these bills, 3 bills that are creating a Freedmen's Bureau, creating a funding stream, and making it easier for people who have had their land stripped of them, to get it back. We have to make those calls. That's one of the things we have to be doing this week. Next week, make those calls, and then September, we got to urge the governor to sign it. All of those folks that are moving the ball as far as creating task force and whatnot, they are coming from the Democratic Party. They're not coming from the Republican Party. So I don't understand why our community supports, some in our community support that MAGA agenda.
Okay, well, that's bewildering to me also, because I'm hoping this is not true, but anybody that was be standing on a platform and calling themselves a foundational Black American, that means they're supposed to be solely and focusing, following leadership that is Black, that is from descendants of slaves here in America. So how could they, in any circumstance, be following a white man named Donald Trump? How could you be a foundational Black American and say that you follow a white man named Donald Trump. That's an oxymoron, and on top of it, Donald Trump does not support reparations at all. And that's just, as a matter of fact, Donald Trump is just all of he and his followers are Confederate right-wing, either segregationist or some kind of racist. Now, if you say that you're Idos, American descendant of slaves, well, how are you hooked in with the white man, Donald Trump? Now I understand the anti-democratic sentiment. The Democratic Party has failed us. Democratic Party has failed to support reparations. That's true, but that does not mean that groups
That's true
here
federally, but it's not true. But it's not true state by state. I mean, California's.
I'll qualify.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'll qualify. Give me a minute to qualify. I'm just saying there's truth. Let me modify it. There's truth to that argument.
Right.
But that is not an excuse for them to not develop another alternative, and the alternative is for us to unify as a movement. I mean, some of them groups you mentioned will not touch my group that I work with in reparations, the Afrodescendant Nation, under the leadership of the Honorable Silas Muhammad. I mean, they won't touch the Afrodescendant Nation, but they touching up on some and hugging up on some MAGA, and that is not good. Now, it is hard, ma'am, I will admit, to put the argument forth right now that my teacher put forth that we're not represented by either political party or, as he said, Democrat Khalid Muhammad. He said Democratic Party or Republican Party, neither one of us are invited to the party. Now, when you have a black woman as the presidential candidate for that party, and when you have X number of black elected officials, state, nationally, and locally in that party, it seems hard to make that argument against the Democratic Party. But you know, again, since we're talking about reparations, you know, the critics would say, you know, now that it's time for those black officials to deliver, all of a sudden reparations becomes political liability, and we have to shy away, and we can't say that now, but we're going to get to it later, and therefore that's where dissatisfaction rises. But under no circumstances is that an excuse to line up behind MAGA either. So these are some of the contradictions in what we call American politics.
Yeah, we're going to continue this conversation. I want to talk about your plebiscite, the Afrodescendant Nation, and of course what it means to support a third-party candidate, as you've stated that you are, and my friend and colleague Melina Abdullah and Dr. West, all of that and more. Straight ahead, we're talking to attorney Malik Shabazz on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African-American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black.
We're thrilled to announce that the Dear Future Wifey podcast is now available on the Urban One Podcast Network. This show, hosted by Latiris R. Whitfield, explores the journey of discovering and rediscovering love and relationships. With over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, Dear Future Wifey has become a prototype for discussions about love and relationships. Learn how to rediscover love, heal, and have faith in relationships. Go to urbanonepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And I'm talking with Attorney Malik Shabazz, president of Black Lawyers for Justice, among other work that he does. And I don't want to, veer too much into presidential, because this is a conversation about reparations. But you stated that you support the West Abdullah tickets precisely because of that issue. I'm sure there are others as well. But does that, how does that play out? A lot of black people are saying, in AKAs and others, are calling on West and Abdullah to stand down, because they might help elect new Confederate Donald Trump.
Well, we know that there are calls for them to stand down and for Dr. Cornel West, my good friend, to step down. But what we have in the West Abdullah campaign is a rare opportunity for real leverage. And I'm a Howard University alumni, and I would be proud to have a Howard University alumni to be president of the United States of America. I got to be honest. But
well,
Dr. Cornel West, I would.
I'm laughing because if you get Kamala Harris, you get a Howard U president. If you get West and Abdullah, you get a Howard U VP. Howard University is just doing big things right now. Right. But but your point taken.
It's a good time, but it's called it's called leverage. It's called a chance for issues that are dear to many black people and all people of conscience that are represented by that campaign, which should be considered by Democrats and Republicans, but Democrats, let's just say Democrats would fear that Dr. West and Melina Abdullah would take some votes away from them. Well, they should make some reforms then. They should sit down with the West Abdullah campaign and state, that something does have to change. You all represent a threat to us losing the election. However, you all are standing on the principle that giving $20 billion worth of fresh weapons to Israel it's just not good for America or humanity. And when we respect that, Dr. West, I'm talking about if I'm from the Kamala Harris campaign. And so we're going to sit down, Dr. West, and we may talk to you about being our Secretary of State. But more we're going to talk to you about is looking at some of the principles that you stand on and saying that we are going to make a real change from now on. We are going to stop financing genocide, and we are going to support some causes that Dr. West represents. Then at that point, maybe he will concede if the principles and the policies and what he represents would be adopted by the Democratic Party. Maybe. I can't speak for him.
Of course.
But I'm just saying it's got to be some movement.
We can't just
we can't just give up you can't just keep going along. But what I fear is, as much as I want a black woman who is inspiring many black women who I consider the queens of the planet Earth and the goddesses of the universe, as much as I want one of their representatives to be in power, we must also be mindful, coming off of the Barack Obama candidacy, that we must have the substance in the change.
Yeah, but I mean,
with substantive change as well as the symbolic.
But respectfully,
change.
I mean, it wasn't a surprise, Attorney Shabazz. We knew that Barack Obama was a moderate centrist. We knew that. It's not like he suddenly became more conservative. We just were so happy to have a black person at the top of the ticket. And speaking of glimmers of hope, Fahima makes a great point in the YouTube chat, which is that S-1083, which is a Senate reparations bill back in 2019, was led by Cory Booker. It was the companion to H.R. 40, the Senate companion. One of the co-authors of the bill was Kamala Harris. So we do have a glimmer of her support for reparations. It's not even that much of a glimmer. I mean, she was one of 12 co-sponsors of the companion bill to H.R. 40.
Okay, those are glimmers, and we try to work with them. We're not here. We're trying. we're not. No, we are. We're looking, because this subject here is about reparations.
It is, absolutely.
Which is a tough subject. You're talking about restoring black people to what is rightfully theirs, and that which has been assisted and cooperated with by the United States of America. I mean, this is a serious subject, and if you touch it, you consider it to be an outright radical by the Fox News and the MAGA crowd. But nevertheless, here's the calculation. See, first of all, we have to stop and give credit to the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee, who has passed from amongst us.
Yeah.
And she's a Democratic Party member from Texas, and she has advanced the cause of reparations. So I honor her. But see, in this hour, we would have to say, well, where is Cory Booker? And where's the manifestation of that intent by Senator Harris and now presidential candidate Harris? We don't want to believe what Sean Hannity is saying, that she has one position yesterday and a new one today. We don't want to go along with Sean Hannity. So the way we would resolve this, hopefully, prayerfully, is coming into the Democratic convention, out of all those speakers who will be speaking, and out of all these planks and platform parts that the unions are getting in and other communities are getting in, somebody has to, on that platform, be able, on one of them nights, to speak up for reparations. And somewhere in that Democratic Party platform has to be an agreement that the president will put an executive order to at least study reparations. Now, that's moderate for hard activists, but at least it should be in the platform, and President Harris should progress this. Let's be honest. She should progress this and say, I will take up, if I'm elected president, I will take up an executive order to study reparations. Now she could do that, and I mean, she ain't about to lose no whole lot of votes.
I don't know. I think she would lose a lot of votes over that, but I'd love to see it, but I think it would give, conservatives all the fuel they need to take her down. I think that. I could be wrong. But talk to me about...
the problem with that is, though, let's just say you're right. You might be right. Then we're going to say, well, here goes the next argument. Well, let's wait till she get in. Well, once you get in, then they're going to say, well, the Congress got this many Democrats and senators, and the House got this many. And you see right now, if you make that move...
Then she'll be a one-term president. At some point, somebody's got to do something. But see, that's why if Biden did it, that would be brilliant, because then she would be in office and she would be like, well, I'm just carrying out what Biden set in motion. I don't know. I feel you. There's always there's always an excuse, but I do see Democrats executing like they actually have some sense and strategy for the past couple months, which is month. So anyway, we have just a minute here before news, traffic, and sports, but we have plenty of time afterwards. I want to talk about what is the Afrodescendant Nation, of which you are the conductor, and why you're calling for a vote. What is that meant to do specifically in regard to reparations? Only 30 seconds right here. I don't know if you got something 30 seconds long you want to say to get that conversation started.
All right, yeah, I look forward when we come back to talking about another election that's going on, and that's the election for our reparations and our identity and our human rights. And I'll talk about that when we come back, or you can go to Afrodescendant.org, Afrodescendant.org, and check up on us before I come back. And this is a great conversation, I think.
Yeah, wow, perfect timing. It's we're talking with attorney Malik Shabazz and you. It's a Freedmen Friday on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. All Americans' Social Security information could be compromised. Reports say hackers stole data from the National Public Data and tried to sell it, but then posted it online for free. The group claims to have nearly 3 billion records of personal data from North America and the UK. The family of African-American Sonia Massey and their attorneys are pushing for legislation that would strengthen Illinois' Safety Act. The legislation would create a national database for police officers that would include infractions like DUIs. Trader Joe's is recalling 653,000 scented candles due to a fire hazard. The company says the flame on its mango tangerine candles can spread to the wax and cause a larger fire. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Blindster is a family-run business that began in 2010, and we've sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters and received over 100,000 five-star reviews. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh said Colin Kaepernick will not be on his staff this season, and there are no plans to add him to the roster as a quarterback. Harbaugh clarified Kaepernick's potential status with the Chargers after Thursday's practice. Harbaugh did leave the door open for Kaepernick to consider joining his coaching staff next season. Harbaugh confirmed that any role Kaepernick would have with the team will be as a coach only. Harbaugh admitted he talked to Kaepernick about an assistant coach position after the Chargers hired him on January 24th. At the moment, it appears Kaepernick's only opportunity to return to the NFL will be as an assistant coach with the Chargers. Kaepernick will be 37 on November 3rd. He hasn't played in the NFL since 2017. Kaepernick was blackballed by the NFL for kneeling during the national anthem to protest social injustices in America. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. Let's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule? This can help you spend and save your money wisely. So, how does it work? Distribute your dollars into 3 buckets. 50% towards needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% goes to savings. Use this tool to help your journey to financial success. Sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Breeze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs.
Picking up! Oscar!
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text LION to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text LION to 42424. That's LION to 42424.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You are, and I'm being joined this morning by Attorney Malik Shabazz, the president of Black Lawyers for Justice, also the conductor of the Afrodescendant Nation. Attorney Shabazz, what is the Afrodescendant Nation? Let's start with the basic and go into the vote you referenced before news, traffic, and sports.
Okay, the Afro-Descendant Nation, first of all, it represents Afro-descendants, and this is a legally recognized identity for our people in the Western Hemisphere, who we call blacks in the Western Hemisphere. And so the Honorable Silas Muhammad, who is the founder and the leader of the Afro-Descendant Nation, I serve at his pleasure. Over 19 nations in the Western Hemisphere have met some years ago in Honduras, and so I just want to let you know that Afro-descendants is recognized in the United Nations, is recognized and is going to be recognized in the International Court of Justice as we bring our claims and our vote for reparations to the International Court. Now, what it is that this is a nationwide organization, the Afro-Descendant Nation. We're a nationwide reparations organization and coalition and movement. We're fighting for reparations, have chapters in many cities. We have national conferences, and we also do local work. Like in Washington, D.C., not only do we do reparations, we do self-determination. And we're fighting for all and organizing regularly with all the issues that black people face, with gentrification, poverty, crime, ignorance, and illiteracy. So we're a growing force, and our arms are open to unite with all other reparations and liberation advocates. Mr. Silas Muhammad has been fighting for reparations for decades, and in the United Nations almost before anybody. He has a lot of respect amongst those like Nkechi Taifa and the other legends in the reparations movement.
So when you say it's a legal designation for black people in the Western Hemisphere, I feel like this is another area where we end up having a lot of back and forth, right? I've heard from certain groups that Negro is the correct legal definition because it's in a lot of old laws. They refer to us as Negroes in this country. Many also take the position that Freedmen is the correct terminology because of Reconstruction era laws, bills, even the designation of us post-enslavement in this country as freedmen. And then I've heard from others that it doesn't matter as long as it is a specific class of people. Tell me where Afro-descendants fits into that.
Well, that's a great question. Where we fit into it is that we are we are the internationally recognized identity of persons of African descent in the Western Hemisphere. That's what an Afrodescendant means. It means a person of African descent who resides in the Western Hemisphere as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and is currently experiencing human rights abuses as a result of that transatlantic slave trade, and which robbed them of their mother tongue and robbed us of our identity and a whole number of other crimes. Freedmen is not a bad term. These terms do not always contradict each other. A freedman is a domestically United States, I would say, recognized term, and neither one cancels out each other. And
what about ADOS and FBA?
Struggle,
do those cancel each other out?
No, I don't even say they cancel each other out.
They can coexist. Okay.
They can coexist, and we should strive for coexistence. An American descendant of slavery is, to me, in my judgment, not different than a freedman, or not different from what they call a foundational Black American, or what we call an Afro-descendant in America. I mean, we Black folks, and we Black folks here in America. We know what we're talking about. Black folks here, and can trace their lineage back through the plantation slavery. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that these are not terms to fight about. Afro-descendant, when you hear Afro-descendant, you must understand that we have an international strategy. That's immediately what you should think about. You think about Malcolm X, and you should think about that the legal term that we are using is recognized in the United Nations and in the International Court of Justice. And these are talking points and sharing points, not points that we fight about. And we also have them in an election. We're having an election right now that we'll talk about that gives our people the right to choose what form of reparations they want, whether in fact they do want reparations or some other remedy, and what identity they choose. We believe in a democratic process, even though we're firm that the lawful identity of Black people is Afro-descendant.
So even
you ask me who I am, sister, I'm a Black man. No, now you're asking me, I'm not changing my identity, my cultural and my racial identity. You ask me who I am, I'm a Black man, and I consider you a Black woman.
Yeah, as I
but,
consider
we get
myself.
As
my ancestors consider me. I mean, but it's an interesting conversation because I feel like it's framed, especially when you get into the issue of Pan-Africanism. Happy birthday, Marcus Garvey. Especially when you get into the issue of Pan-Africanism and you say Afro-descendant, and then you're talking about how FBA, ADOS, Freedmen, Negroes, Black people, reparationists, I'm probably forgetting a few terms, that they don't have to be in conflict, that a global strategy doesn't necessarily mean that Africans or people from the Caribbean are coming for foundational Black Americans or freedmen or Black Americans, or that somehow our contributions are not being recognized, or that our distinct claims are not being addressed.
Yeah, you're spot on, ma'am. To develop a dialogue where Black people here in America are juxtaposed or antagonistic or fighting against our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean or in Africa, to me is a misplaced dialogue. It's a false dialogue. I think what we must understand is that Black people here in America, we benefited greatly from other Blacks that have come here outside of America to America to help us. One of the greatest examples that we could ever think of is Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I mean, here's a person that comes from Jamaica. He's born in 1877, St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica. He comes here following Brother Booker T. Washington, who's working the industry and the soil here in America, and Mr. Garvey gives us this race consciousness that allows us talk about reparations and all of these black things. Well, Marcus Garvey is the great-grandfather of blackness and black pride and black power here in America. So, we can't get we have to be mature. We can't get colonized in our mindset. We colonized Negroes. No, we kind of fighting back against Negroes now. We cut deals with everybody else but Negroes, and we're not going to be some colonized Negroes, and we finna send some troops, some black troops to the border. We got to protect the border, and we finna look. This is the reality of it. There are 2 billion black people around this planet. Most of these companies that owe us reparations and entities are multinational. The Catholic Church and its holdings and possessions are multinational. Any number of companies and banks are multinational. And our power, frankly, does not strictly come from this statistically 13% minority in America. Yes, we're strong here, but statistically, I mean, I'm sure they're wrong. If they say 13%, it might be closer to 20%. However, worldwide, we are a force to be reckoned with against white world capitalism and industry. And so we will never abandon an international strategy, nor will we abandon the fact that we're fighting for our people here first. Yeah, we can't point how we're going to free some Africans over there and still got the noose around our neck over here, as my teacher has taught me. However, we are international people, Pan-African people, and as Kwame Ture, another great man here that fought here, Howard University alumni, former Stokely Carmichael. He teaches us the value of the liberation of all African people and how it will directly help to free us here.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have this is a heck of a deal we're facing here with the power of the U.S. government.
I'm managing time because I want to make sure I get to the point. So let's talk about this vote, the plebiscite, as you call it, on reparations. What is it and why is it important? You said you believe in a democratic process. You want us to vote on what type of reparations, how we want to be identified, and whether we support reparations at all. Why is that important?
It's very important for us to have choice and to have consent and to have input as to reparations. This is not a dictatorship. And first thing I want to let you know is that it's a simple process. It's a text message to the number I'm giving out now. Well, if you text reparations to 1-877-506-2184, if you text that number to 877-506-2184, what you will get is a chance to vote. Cast your vote on whether you want reparations. Cast your vote on whether you want you believe in cash reparations only. Do you believe in land, territory? Do you believe in other forms of reparations? It explains what Afrodescendant is and gives you a chance to opt in or not as a legal definition. Gives you a chance. So it has several questions, and what it is a democratic process of consent where our people are registering their vote, which we are taking to the United Nations and the International Court of Justice. And this is a very important election. The number again, text reparations to 877-506-2184. Okay, so once you vote, man, what you do is you get to participate in that process, and you're also in the database for our movement. And you will strictly get messages about reparations activities for the allies of the Afrodescendant Nation and other reparations news. I mean, it's a building process. So it's a vote and it's a mobilization tool that we're serious about.
We're talking with attorney Malik Shabazz on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys.
Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is...
grab the keys.
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
History is being made. LA Civil Rights and the LA City Reparations Advisory Commission is about to unveil a groundbreaking reparations report. Come learn more about the impact of the Black experience in Los Angeles. Join us on Tuesday, August 27th, 5 p.m. at CSUN's Student Union for the official release and panel discussion. For more information, call 213-978-1845 or visit laisforeveryone.com. Again, laisforeveryone.com. Be part of this monumental moment.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Limited time. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
And we are talking with Attorney Malik Shabazz, president of Black Lawyers for Justice, and talking about this plebiscite or referendum ballot, I guess, that you're asking folks to fill out. You can find it at your website too, right? Afrodescendant.org, or you said text 877-506-2184. You mentioned self-determination. So when you say, do you consent to and declare your rights to have complete control over your own affairs as a people and be able to govern yourself? Are you talking about seceding from the United States of America?
Well, we're talking about the principle of self-determination, and everything after that is subject to negotiation. Right now, we're asking you, it is. I mean, it's real talk. I mean, right now, we're asking our people, do you declare your right to self-determination and to govern yourself? And you can answer yes or no. You know.
I'm looking at this.
This vote is This vote is it's designed to open. It's designed to leave room for negotiation by intelligent persons like yourself and others who are listening, because we're serious about self-determination.
Lawful identity, you say, are people in the United States correctly identified and describe themselves by many names: Black, African, Indigenous, New African, more. ADOS, FBA, Freedmen, etc. Lawfully Afrodescendant is the internationally recognized legal and political term. So you're asking people to consent to lawfully self-identify as Afrodescendant in the United States. And you're saying that alongside whatever else they've been calling themselves?
Exactly. Law, continue to call yourself. If you say you're a freedman, if you're a Hebrew, a Moor, a black Muslim, be yourself. We're not trying to interfere with that. But we're saying as your representatives and your lawyers, give us consent to lawfully represent you under the label of Afro-descendant in the legal courts and in the legal procedures of the world. And that puts us in line with 80 to 90 million others who are also in the Western Hemisphere, who have suffered the same abuses under the transatlantic slave trade. And when I mention 80 to 90 million, I'm talking about power. You know, I can't deal with this narrow black, I am a black man in America, and I'm fighting for my people first. But I must be remiss to tell you that when the black people who are here in Brazil, who are in the Caribbean, who are in Jamaica and Trinidad and Barbados, and who are throughout this Western Hemisphere, that we are a force, we are a power, and there's power in the legal identity of Afro-descendant. And it doesn't take away from who we are. We're not trying to change your name.
You also asked,
but the lawyers, we need the legal right to go. We're asking for the legal right to go forward
to the international courts, the UN and international courts, to make the case for reparations globally and specifically to the U.S. and specifically to other nations, or globally only.
Well, this is for us. But ratified in the global context. This is reparations for us specifically and for our cause, but ratified by the various international courts, and even by the Organization of African Unity, just for us.
And it becomes, and part of the way that it becomes confused and confusing, you mentioned going after multinational corporations, and so there's the private sector, there's these public institutions, and private institutions, educational institutions, and then you have governments and every level of government. So I think that's where it becomes confusing, because if you talk about a multinational corporation, yeah, you could look at it as a global claim, but when you talk about the U.S. government or the state governments, you're talking about specifically Black American claims. So does that also go to an international court?
Also, these are good questions. In the case of like a multinational corporation, well, if we had our act together, then we would put our own sanctions on these entities for the purposes of getting the benefit of reparations for blacks here in America. That means our allies, for example, our allies in Africa. Well, Africa owes us reparations too. Well, they might say, well, look, we do owe you, our brothers and sisters in America, reparations, but we don't have anything. We're in debt to the IMF, and we're struggling. But we will unite with you and help our populations to go up against McDonald's and go up against these other banks and these other entities that have roots in the transatlantic slave trade. See, we could shut down, just say we could shut down multinational corporations with the support of the people and governments of Africa abroad. But specifically when it comes to the government of the United States, we're talking about, just say, the International Court of Justice and getting rulings, the support of nations that will rule for us and our cause for reparations here in America. Yeah, and that ruling would be adverse to the United States government.
Man, I still have a long list of questions. we only have 2 minutes.
We can come back.
So, okay, we may. That'd be great.
And I like your insight.
Thank you.
Your insight is very keen, and and I think we could have productive conversations in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to do a part 2. I think it's because there's so many questions that are brought up by this, but I've got a minute and a half here, so I want to hand it to you and to say what you want to say, but also do you feel are you encouraged? You feel optimistic that we can continue to get wins in this area, in this arena of reparations?
Yes. I believe that as a people we can get wins, yes, in the area of reparations and in general liberation if we keep our eyes on the prize in this hour. My brothers and sisters, as I conclude, you can text 877-506-2184. You can vote and get more information about what I'm saying. I'm a police brutality attorney. I'm the attorney behind the prosecution of the Goon Squad in Rankin County, Mississippi. And I'm telling you all, don't give up right now. Even when you see a black woman rising to the presidency of the United States, well, that's a sign that we as a people in any arena can do what we will. So we are a great people. We are a fantastic people. God is working with us, and we must work with ourselves, and we must be uncompromising for reparations. I'd be happy to come back, and I honor you as my host. You're very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the conversation. Attorney Malik Shabazz, we will follow up because so many questions raised and things we need to think about in this, just looking at this plebiscite. Also, you've got Amnesty next hour. KBLA delegation, if you've called before, you haven't called before, you heard something you want to unpack, let's talk about it. 800-920-1580. News, traffic, sports, then you, me, and this microphone on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Tried to sell it, but then posted it online for free. The group claims to have nearly 3 billion records of personal data from North America.